Hey everybody, how are we doing out there? Today we're going to do a video about mixing acoustic guitars. There will be some conventional things in there that perhaps you've heard about, and there will be some unconventional things that maybe you haven't heard about. Anyway, hopefully it's going to be really good, so let's get started. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. So straight away I'm just going to play the track so you have some context in which to listen to first. I have 3 mics on this acoustic guitar. I've got a mono mic which is pointed at the 12th fret of the guitar, and then I've got 2 kind of stereo mics, and they're a little bit further back. They're kind of got the purpose of being sort of semi-ambient mics. Okay, so let's have a little listen to the track and then we'll get stuck into what we did to the individual mics. Okay, so first off, let's get into the mono mic. Let's have a little listen to that. Okay, sounds pretty good. Okay, first playing up, we've got our buddy here, FabFilter Pro Q3. Fairly basic processing. I've got a high pass, 123 Hertz, which is pretty high, but considering the track has quite a lot of low-end information in the kick and the bass, I really don't want the acoustic to compete with that at all. We did a little cut here at 771 Hertz. That's kind of to remove a little bit of the boxiness of the acoustic. I'll demonstrate that now by giving it a little boost. Cool, so that kind of removes some of that like boxy kind of, it's not a nice frequency, it just doesn't sit very well in my opinion. Next up, I found this kind of resonant frequency at 5K, so let's have a little listen to how that sounds. Yeah, no, not enjoying that at all. That definitely needed to go. And last up, I just removed a little bit of like the very top end of the acoustic, which generally for me, I don't find that enjoyable to listen to. So I did a bit of a cut here at just over 18 kilohertz. Okay, so nothing major going on there, fairly basic moves, nice and simple. Okay, next up in the chain, we've got a multi-band compressor. And what I've done here is I've set it so that anything above kind of 4.5K here is getting compressed. And the reason why I've done that is because quite often with acoustic guitars, when we're talking about those upper ranges, they can sound really super digital to me, really harsh, and it can kind of stick out like a sore thumb. I generally really don't enjoy that sound. So the way I combat that is to kind of emulate essentially what tape used to do back in the day to acoustic guitars. If you go back and listen to any of those records from like mid to late 70s, even the 80s, acoustic guitars, they can sound really bright but not harsh. And that's the benefit of recording on analog tape, is it kind of has that quality of compressing the high end. And so you can boost the high end and it can sound nice but not harsh. Now, if you try and do that in the digital realm, in my opinion, it doesn't sound great at all. It kind of really falls apart and it can sound really annoying in those higher frequencies. So what the purpose of this plugin here is doing is kind of emulating that analog domain with analog tape. And the way I've got it set up is so anything above 4.5K is going to get compressed. I've got a really fast attack, really fast release. And in this case, I'm going to turn the look ahead up a little bit. Okay, let's take a listen and see what that's doing. So first of all, I'll turn it off and then I'll turn it back on. Okay, let's exaggerate it a sec so we can really hear what it's doing. Okay, that's too much, but let's move it back a bit. Okay, that's cool. So what it's kind of doing is those like aggressive, really aggressive hits, it's kind of just taming that kind of digitalness, that transient that's popping out. It's just kind of nudging that down. It's not affecting the rest of the frequency range. It's just kind of taking care of that. Okay, so next up, I want to add something back to it. I want to give it kind of some brightness. Now, this is what I've chosen for this. It's very subtle, but I really think it does do a job. I'm using this pulsar EQ here, and I'm giving it a little boost at 4.5K, and it's not much. It's just under 1 decibel, and it's a subtle move, but it's really, for me, it's just adding a little bit of something back to the sound. Okay, so let's have a little listen. Let's turn it off. Let's stick it back on. Let's give it a good boost. That's way too much. Dial it back. Yeah, around 1 dB. That sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. Okay, so let's move on to these other mics now. It's a stereo pair, so I'm going to treat them exactly the same. So let's turn them both on and let's have a little listen. Okay, they're a lot brighter than the other mic. So let's have a look at what we did. Again, similar to the mono mic, I found some resonances high up that I really didn't like, and I've also cut a huge chunk out of the mid-range here at around 500 hertz. And I think the reason why I've done this is that frequency range is being occupied by that closer mic. So I don't need anything else to do that, and because these mics are a bit further away, there's going to be a bit of a phase shift going on. The phase relationship between the microphone that's close up and these microphones is going to be a bit off. So I'm pulling this out. So let's have a listen to those mics without an EQ. And then back in. Okay, cool. Let's listen in context now. Let's put the other microphone back in. So I guess what's going on here is the mono mic is kind of the meat of the sound, and then these two ambient mics are kind of spread, and they're providing a little bit more treble and just kind of air around it. Yeah, one of them is panned far left and one of them is panned far right. So it's just kind of completing the picture. In addition to that, I've got this aux track here, which is set up in this purple track here. And we've just got this guy here adding a little bit extra reverb and ambient. So it's just kind of set to 1 second. I've got a low cut going on here, which is set to 100 hertz, taking anything out below that, and it's being fed from the mono mic, which is giving it the information for the reverb. Yeah, that's the picture. In addition to that, I've also got a bus here for acoustic guitar, and I've got some extra kind of multiband going on in the top end, which is just working a little bit harder. Let's have a listen. Yeah, so that's working in the same fashion as it is on the mono mic. It's just adding a little bit extra, which is now going to be compressing those ambient mics as well a little bit. And I've also got some extra EQ going on, giving it some top end, which I think my thinking behind this was to kind of if I'm pulling down and really compressing and stopping those high transients, I want something just to give a little bit back, so I'm not completely destroying it. And then now it comes to compression, and I've got two compressors here which I'm using on the acoustic bus. I have a Neve emulation of a 2254 diode bridge compressor. I've got that set to a slow setting, and I've also got a emulation of an 1178 by Pulsar here, which is, I kind of got that set to a fast attack. And me personally, I really like having a fast attack on acoustic guitars. It really kind of, again, it's going to tame that transient information and really help it sit in the track a little bit. So let's have a little listen and see what that's doing. Okay, it's pretty subtle. It's not doing a hell of a lot. It looks like maximum there, it's sort of probably knocking on the 1178. It's taking maybe 1 dB away from the original signal. Just a little bit of compression going on there. Let's spin it along to a more intense part of the track. Let's have a listen to the outro and see what's going on there. Yeah, taking about 3 dB of compression off the signal. It really looks like the Neve is not doing a hell of a lot. In this instance, it's probably just adding a little bit of saturation and color. Okay, let's listen one more time in the context of the music, just to kind of get more of a picture of what's going on. Let's listen to this outro. Right, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you got something good out of this. If you have any ideas or any comments or anything you liked or anything you disliked, anything you want to suggest, then please stick them in the comments. And if you can like and subscribe, that would be amazing. This is a new channel which I'd really like to grow, and I'd like to be encouraged to make more videos. So if you like what you saw today, please give it a like and subscribe, and maybe a comment as well. And I will see you next time. Thanks very much for watching. See you later.